To love and to be loved is one of the things that every human being on this planet craves for every day. And sometimes we always search for a soulmate because, I mean, that's what we want. Everybody wants to get married or find somebody that they're going to spend the rest of their life with. But some people pretend, other people are a lot more vocal and confident in saying things like, I want to find my soulmate. So today on Our Views, we are going to be talking about soulmates. Can you have more than one? Are you destined to only be with that one person, or you can have a number of them, or even stretch up to 10 plus soulmates in your lifestyle? To deliberate on this conversation with me on my panel today is Sandra Cope, as usual. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning once again, Sandra.
And today we actually have two guests on the show. Number one is Mr. Brian Karachi, who is no stranger to the show, part of the family, literally. And then we also have Uwesa. Uwase. Yes. Your name is beautiful, but very difficult to pronounce sometimes.
Yeah,
Uwase Agi. Where are you from?
From Kampala, from Uganda.
Yeah. Yes, from where? Which region? Your tribe.
No, I'm Rwandan.
Okay.
But born and raised in Uganda.
Born and raised in Uganda.
Yes.
Do you visit Rwanda sometimes?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So do you have a soulmate in Uganda or in Rwanda?
Not yet.
Not
I haven't
yet.
found a soulmate. I'm still trying to find my soulmate. I hope he's out there.
So hopefully. Somewhere in between,
yeah,
you know, cross country. So ladies and Brian, I want to ask the question today. Can you have more than one soulmate? But before we get there, I posted this question to our social media handles, and that's on Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, kindly please head on to our social media, and don't forget to leave the hashtag at SEETVSunrise. We'd love to hear from you, and I'll definitely be reading your feedback at the end of the show. So before I ask if you can have multiple soulmates, Aggie has already said she hasn't yet found hers. Sandra, I do not want to assume. So please, have you found your soulmates? Brian, have you found your soulmates?
I've found and lost and found and still finding.
You're still finding?
Yeah.
So when you say you're found and lost and found and lost, do you subscribe to the thought that you can only have one, or you can have multiple ones? Or were they all soulmates in that moment in time?
I don't subscribe to that idea that there's only one soulmate for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the soul is an evolving thing.
Is it though?
Yeah.
How so? Evolving?
It evolves. Because today you're not the person you were sometime, let's say 5 years ago.
Isn't that the persona, not your soul?
I believe your persona. Isn't it the same as the soul?
Okay.
These spiritual things are quite complicated,
yes,
but I believe it evolves.
Yes.
Because what you subscribe to right now is not what you subscribed to 5 years back.
Mm-hmm.
The things that you prioritized are not the same.
Yes.
So you might have had someone that you connected with. Because a soulmate is a person that you have an affinity to, and you have a relationship on a deeper level that you're able to bond, isn't it?
Yes.
So how many people have you bonded with?
For you, so you're bonding with everybody?
Not everybody. There are those that you find and you're like, okay, we cannot connect. But tomorrow you find someone and you connect.
Yeah.
And I believe a soulmate can be a friend.
Yeah.
It can be a parent, a brother, a sister, a cousin.
Yes.
It can be a spouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So in what sense are we?
Your soulmate. You found that one person you're going to click with for the rest of your life. Every time we hear people talking about soulmates, they're always regarding, putting it in regard to romantic partners. Every wedding I have attended to, I found my soulmate. Really? Did you, dear? Did you, dear? Did you really find your soulmate? When you're divorcing after 6 months, explain yourself. So because we always think that soulmates are just stuck to romantic partners. But what do you think, Sandra?
I think you can have more than one soulmate. I have 4. Mm-hmm. Yes, I have 4 soulmates. And a soulmate is somebody that you have this connection with, and you connect on a deeper level and in a very non-dependent way.
Yes.
That's what a soulmate is. And you don't have to be in an intimate relationship with a soulmate. You could, or you could not.
Yes.
It could swing both ways. So yes, I have 4 soulmates. I have my husband, and I have my 2 other friends. Mm-hmm. guy friends.
Yes.
And then I have my son, my teenager.
Yes.
Because we just connect on this level that I don't connect with anybody else. And we connect differently. The way I connect with my husband is different. The way I connect with this other soulmate of mine, and he lives away. They all live away. He lives in Congo. But when even there's something wrong with me, he knows, like he would pick up the phone, or I'll be thinking of calling him.
Yes.
And then he'd send me a message. It's like, are you okay? Same thing with my other soulmate. He's in Nairobi. And the same thing. And with my son here as well, even when he's in school and is not well, like I know before he calls me that something is up.
Yes.
So yes, you can have more than one soulmate because you connect on such a deep level and not in a dependent way.
Yes.
It's just this connection that it's like a kindred soul.
It's
like you're
effortless.
so in sync. Yes. And yes, so I am all up for, and you never know, I might find others along the way.
Well, a brief history on soulmates. Well, Greek philosopher, that is Plato, wrote that humans once had 4 arms and 4 legs. But Zeus, that was the king, or that's God in Greece, split us into 2 for our punishment for being proud. So now we are scattered and roaming the earth looking for soulmates. That's why you find that Brian has had multiple, trying to find the one. Well, that is what Greek philosophy does mean when they talk about soulmates. That means for them, they think that you only have one. So when you find your soulmate, you're basically finding your better half. Well, our understanding of love and relationships has evolved since 385 BCE. And in some Hindu traditions, they hold the idea that people have karmic connections with their souls. That means karmic from the word karma. Meaning that you are destined to be with one person. There's just one person in your entire life. And for the Jews, they also say that the term, and they also refer it to a term as a predestinated marriage partner. It's also, karmic for them. It's karma. You're destined to be this one person. So all over the world, there's the notion that there's only one soul for another person. However, doing more research, it goes to show that people can have more than one soulmate, and there are actually different types of soulmates. And these types of soulmates include soul partners, and this is someone who you intentionally decide to get married to. It could be your in-laws, could be your friends. So that is what you have, Sandra. You have soul partners, not soulmates. And then there are also soul ties. You've heard about this?
Yes,
the spiritual
I have.
connection when you have with people, when you get intimate with them and you take all their bizimu and demons. The soul ties. And then past life soulmates. Have you ever felt there are some people who have the feeling that they have known someone or met them before?
Oh my gosh,
you can't place it, you can't remember where you have seen them, but you just feel like you know this person. Those are past life soulmates. And then there's the karmic soulmates. That is the one who you're destined to be. Whether rain, whether tsunami, whether floods, earthquakes, this is the one person who you're going to meet along your life, along your journey, this life journey, whether you end up with them or not, but you're destined to meet this person. Sometimes some people, if you believe in psychic powers or people who foresee the future, they're always going to, some of them you may find that they're telling you that you're going to meet a certain person in your life, whether you like it or not. And we have heard of many fairy tales, or maybe a lot of myths where there are stories about, say, a king or a warrior who was told that there's someone who is going to come into your life and this person is going to do this to you. So regardless of what it is, you may try to avoid that future from coming to, to life. They're going to be there. However, and then the last one, they're romantic soulmates. That one person who we all think that we have met but have not yet. But the funny, interesting thing, because reading, further into this, I found that they are twin flames. Do you know what a twin flame is? A twin flame is like your mirror. Somebody who is like you on an emotional level, a spiritual level, like you are one in the same. You finish each other's sentences, like the person would say something and then you say, oh my goodness, I would totally say that. And many of us have these twin flames. Okay, but you can only have one. Is there that one person on social media who you read their post and be like, oh my goodness, this is so
We should have tea.
Exactly, we should have tea. So for my next question, let us move away a bit from soulmates. Do you think that you could ever find, do you ever think that there's a possibility that you would ever find your soulmate? Let me start with the people who haven't found. Aggie.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I'm actually on the move to find my soulmate.
Okay.
You know, in the past, sometimes you meet someone in your life and maybe you can actually be romantically involved. They can be your friend or maybe your best friend.
Yes.
And you think maybe in that moment they are your soulmate because you connect on a deeper level, on a certain level. But eventually, maybe the relationship is done.
Yes.
And you look back, you're like, okay, actually this person wasn't my soulmate. They didn't understand me as much as I thought they did.
Yes.
We didn't actually share enough experiences to that show that you're actually soulmates or even connect on that deeper level. So eventually, as you are looking at somebody else, maybe you meet someone else in your life and it goes on and on and on and you feel like maybe this person is my soulmate. So I feel like for me, until that moment comes and I zero down on this one person,
Yes.
that's when I'll feel like this one is my soulmate, the person I'll end up with. And I believe that soulmates, a soulmate is someone that you are romantically involved with.
You have to be
Or,
romantically
yes,
involved
for
with
me,
them.
at least for my part, that is what I believe in. Well, you can actually be, you talked of your son, your mother, but there are certain things that you cannot talk to your mother about. There are certain things that you cannot talk to your son about. There are certain things that you actually cannot tell your best friend about.
Yes.
So for me, I feel that if someone is my soulmate, I should actually be able to talk to them, you know, without even letting anything, leaving anything behind. So if I get involved with you, whether you're my friend or my best friend, you can actually be my best friend, or maybe you're my boyfriend. But I feel like I cannot talk to you about everything and anything, or I'm always holding back.
Yes.
You're not my soulmate.
Oh,
You're not.
that is very interesting.
Yes.
So what about you, Brian?
These spiritual things are really complicated, but I don't understand them so much, though I read a lot about metaphysics
Okay.
and all that. But the thing I believe in is putting myself where I want to be and to be that person I want to get.
Okay.
You get. There's a book I read, it's called Supernatural, Becoming Supernatural by Joe D. Dispenza.
Yes.
So he says, if you want to get a job, let's say, from World Bank,
Yes.
to be employed by World Bank, you have to put yourself on that frequency of being employed by World Bank. That means getting the knowledge, the skills, and everything that is required
Yes.
to get that job. Then, in any way, the universe will connect you to that
Okay.
job. So, if you want to have a certain kind of person, you will definitely put yourself on that level
Yes.
to be that kind of person you want. And in any way, there's a match for you on that frequency. So if you're this kind of person, let's say you're outgoing, you definitely not get someone that you want. Let's say if you want someone that is not outgoing and you're outgoing, chances are you'll not find a match, or chances are you'll find a match that is just like you.
Yes.
So it is possible to have several soulmates, different soulmates in the world. Today you're someone else, tomorrow you'll be someone else,
Yeah.
and you match another person. That is why people find soulmates and they believe, oh, Sarah is my soulmate, I click with her, la 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 la, and all that romanticism that comes along. And then after 5 years, I'm like, this is not working out. I need someone else. I don't think we are.
But we are much. But you see, this
Yeah.
is the thing. What I believe, I subscribe to Greek philosophy, where you just have that one person that you connect with on a much more intimate and deep level and psyche. And I found mine. It's just that we are not together. You understand? I found mine. We're just not together. But I think it's just like Aggie. I think it's just that one person above everybody else who you have this, you know, next level connection with, where you're so in sync, you're so intertwined, like regardless of where you take, what directions you take with your life, you're always going to find yourselves back in the same position, you know, back together. Doesn't mean that you have to be with your soulmate. Actually, you don't have to be with them. You don't have to be in a relationship with them. But you just will always share this bond that you cannot even describe to people. Another thing is, I think but like Brian said something, we over-romanticize the concept of having a soulmate. And then we later dismiss other relationships that we had that were very impactful in our lives by saying, oh, but they're not my soulmate. I think you can fall in love with numerous people.
True.
You know, at every stage of your life. It's not that every ex we had, we were not in love with them. We were in that time, but then after the relationship is over, all you do is demonize that person. You understand? And yet, if you look inside yourself clearly and reflect, you might actually find that you did have a soul connection with this person. I mean, a lot of people, exactly at that point, a lot of people I think are just tied by soul ties. Just tied by soul ties and not soulmates, but it doesn't mean that you had a connection with this person. So now let's talk about in the event where you thought that you found your soulmate, but they're not your soulmate. How did you handle that situation? Did you tell them, like, you know what, so so see, this is what happened, right? I thought you were my soulmate, but you're not. So peace, bye. How do you handle that situation?
For me, it's quite a story. But
Yes.
before I get to that, just to say, for me, I feel that you can have more than one soulmate.
Yes.
That you actually share a lot with, and your connection is like other people can't actually comprehend it.
Yes.
Because I have that with another person apart from my husband. Like, I can tell him anything, absolutely anything. It's like we're like open books. And I find it that when they say that you can only have one soulmate, yes, don't you cut yourself off from other possibilities? Isn't it a bit selfish? I think, because like you said, you could have this relationships with other people. I'm not saying intimate relationship, but that can flourish and that you can gain so much from, you can learn so much from. Yes. So, but if you cut that off because you're being told, okay, now you have this one soulmate and that's it, don't you cut yourself off from other possibilities?
This is the thing. You cannot force a Wi-Fi connection. If the password has refused, if the device is not compatible with your phone, it can never be connected. What I'm saying is that you can be in love with multiple people, even at the same time. I believe that. But you can only have one person who you share your innermost ugliness with and will not judge you. One person who will even predict how you're going to react. Okay? That is what I feel a soulmate is. Yes, we have connections with mommy, daddy, and those are all, you know, like daughter-mother connections. You know, there's that connection for your mother, for your siblings, for your best friend. But then there's that one special connection with that one person who knows you in and out.
I guess for me, I have two. But moving on to what you asked, that you meet this person, you think they're your soulmate, and you're like, you know what, you're not my soulmate. And this happened to me many years ago. I was seeing this person and I was sure he was his, like my soulmate. 2 years down the line, I remember we had gone on holiday.
Yes.
And he had gone for a conference, so he said he was going for a conference the next day. We were there like for 3 days.
Yes.
Only that he lied. He had gone on a date with someone that we had bumped into at a restaurant like 2 days before.
Yes.
And I got to know of it. So I did tell him that he was not my soulmate, but I didn't tell him verbally.
Yes.
I just filled the bathtub in the hotel with water and put everything inside: his passport, his
Oh my God.
laptop, everything, his shoes, submerged them.
Yes.
His money. So it was all like, and then I left. I guess that was a way that he knew we were not soulmates after all.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Okay.
What about you, Aggie?
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to soulmates, like when you meet somebody and you feel like this person is my person, this person I connect to on a deeper level. And then eventually, like I said, maybe things fall apart.
Yes.
Or maybe you reach a certain point in the relationship and you actually feel you do not connect with this person that much. If, say, you have things that you want to work on, and maybe they are important things to you, but you cannot open up and tell this person and say, I would like to do this. I would like you to give me your advice on this.
Yes.
Because maybe you're probably scared of how they'll take it. You're not very fully open to them to tell them. Then they're not your soulmate. And then maybe later on in life you can meet somebody else and you know, the way you talk to them, the way you relate with them, you feel like this person is my person.
But
this person is my soulmate.
But don't you think we cut ourselves short by insinuating or by thinking that the other person has to know, oh, you're my soulmate, we are connected, so you must know?
They don't have to.
I think you have to put in the work regardless.
It's the feeling.
It's not about just feelings. How are they supposed to feel that you're in distress, or feel like you want money, or feel like you want pizza?
But you say they can tell when you're not feeling
I'm
well.
saying
In the beginning,
there is a feeling that you can tell that this person is either unsettled or not themselves. All they can do is ask, are you okay? But they cannot, you know, read your mind and say that, okay, this is what she wants or this is what he wants. And don't you think we are just putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on our soulmates? You know, by making them, now turning them into, what is the person who reads people's minds?
Mind readers.
Into a psychic or a mind reader. Now we want them to be mind readers too. But I think you have to put in the work.
I think in the beginning you have to put in the work, because if you are cultivating this in any friendship or relationship, you have to cultivate it when you meet. You can't be like, I like you, okay, let's date or let's get married or whatever. You have to work at it and communicate and see the different ways in which you communicate with each other, and then this builds this bond. It makes it stronger, so that later on, like you've met people, we finish each other's sentences and this, because they, like, you're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
You have the same line of thought. Yes. So in the beginning, yes, you have to cultivate it, and when you do this later on, it just flows. Yeah. So I think in the beginning, yes, you have to work at it, even if you feel a connection. Otherwise, it will just
wither away.
Yes.
You have to, I think you have to put in the work all the way, not into the beginning, just in the beginning, but every day. To be in love can be the most unfortunate thing that can ever happen to somebody. Because the thing about being in love is that it does not guarantee that the other person feels the same way. Or they do, but they're lazy and they think that because you're my soulmate, you're supposed to read my mind, so I'm not supposed to put in any work. So you have to put in the work every day. Ask questions, get to know the person. Brian said that we're always evolving every day, right? So what I like today may not be what I like tomorrow. Or I have completely changed my mind about, you know, what it is that my values or principles may be. So I think just as that, we have to evolve together and keep on understanding each other, because different circumstances affect our day-to-day life in every, you know, way. You may find that you're a person and everybody thinks that you're rude because you are assertive. So you now start to change your communication style from coming up and saying, you know what, I'm pissed off, you did this, it bothers me, to taking a deep breath and saying, you know what, I am upset that you did this. But then your person may think that because now your pattern has changed, they're going to think that something is wrong.
Well,
understand?
I think, yes, you still have to put in the work, but it becomes different as you go along, as long as both of you are committed and you are on the same page, the same wavelength, like I said. You still put in the work, but it becomes effortless because you're both there and you want to be there. So you just keep on doing that dance and just winging it and doing that dance, because like you're seeing eye to eye. Yes, you are both evolving, but it becomes effortless. That's what I think as it goes on. Because like if it goes on and you just feel, oh my gosh, this is work, then you're going to back out. So you enjoy it. You don't actually realize that you're putting in the work because it comes naturally to you. It becomes effortless and you enjoy it.
So how do you know you have found a soulmate?
I actually I think if we keep spiritualizing these relationships,
But aren't
we're
they
going
not?
to...
Aren't they not? Aren't we spiritual beings?
We're spiritual beings, but we do not have, I don't believe we have those abilities to read minds, see through people. That happens if you have put in the work and not just expect that, okay, Wase is my wife, she should be able to tell that I'm hungry, that I am pissed, that I am missing her.
Oh, we
that
can
I
do
have
that.
this
We
and
see
that.
you're grumpy and we just know.
That happens if you have put in the work to know my characters, how I react. If I'm hungry, how do I behave?
Yeah.
If I am missing someone, how do I...
Who are you missing? I'm here. Who are you missing?
I
If
know,
I'm
right?
Missing someone.
No.
Who are you missing?
You can okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If I have something, let's say hungry or busy or disturbed, you get to know that if you have put in the work to know who Brian is,
Yeah.
what triggers him, what picks up his vibes and all that.
Yeah.
It's not anything like, okay, I'm just a spiritual being and by spirituality I'll tell, yeah, she's missing this. Let me give her this.
So Brian, for you, you are a lot more logical and rational with this whole finding someone in love. You're like, you have to master the algorithm and the stars have to align. Like you have to put 1 + 1 has to add up. It's not for you. It's not fate. It's not karma. You don't believe in any of that.
We are creators. You know, we don't separate ourselves from God.
Okay.
We are one with God. So that makes us creators as well.
Okay.
That means that you can create your own world. If I want a relationship that is like this and like that, I can do that if I put my mind to it.
Okay.
The reason why people are so stuck with this idea of soulmates, I have not found my soulmate, or I had my soulmate and I've not been able to move on from him or her, it's because you're stuck in the past.
Okay.
You've not given yourself a chance to explore the unknown, to see what's in the future. Every time you meet someone, you start to compare them with your past.
Yeah.
Your ex, you're like, okay, she doesn't have this. She does not treat me this way. I don't think she's my soulmate. Give her time. Tell her your beats, your vibes and all that. Let her connect you. And once she does, you'll realize that, okay, you could move on from your soulmate and you have another soulmate right now.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No, Brian, I'm curious. How do you handle a breakup? For you, like it's it's over. For you, like okay, tomorrow.
No, I can
we
go
are
through all the
flipping
pain
page.
and all that, but I don't get myself stuck into it for so long.
You don't?
Give yourself time, yet to grieve and experience all the pain and all that, but you cannot stay there forever.
Brian
Get out
is
of
talking,
it.
I think when he's saying time and what, it's like 1 week. And then next week is...
A few hours after 3 business days, when we are done with this breakup. Oh my
No,
God.
it can be a month, but if you stay there for 3 years, 5 years, my God, when are you going to find your next soulmate?
I feel like a soulmate is someone that you can connect with from the word go. Because if you talk about you put in the work, you give them time. Well, you can actually put in the work. You can give them the time, but eventually you can find that, you know what, actually this person, I do not connect with them that much. I feel like a soulmate is someone that is your go-to person. That if I have a problem, you're the first person on my mind. If I need advice, if something has come through for me,
Yes.
you know, a breakthrough or anything, you're the first person that I, you know, pick up my phone and call and talk to. But you can actually be in a relationship with somebody and they are not your go-to person.
Absolutely.
That means they're not your soulmate. Like something could be wrong and you're not the person that I
Then
pick
why
up
are
the
you
phone
with
to
them?
You know what?
No, why are you stopping them from finding their soulmate? Why are you with them? Why are you,
You know
being
what?
a
People are in
part of your
relationships for
progress?
different reasons. You don't have to for different reasons.
Do you know, like, from what she's saying,
Yes.
do you feel that this word soulmate is thrown around so loosely? Because most people, I think what you're saying, Brian, many people idealize this soulmate notion that they don't actually sit down and think, what is a soulmate?
Yes.
They just feel like, okay, you find someone, you like them, oh, that's my soulmate. But they are not your go-to, like what Aggie is saying.
Yeah.
So do you think it's thrown around just loosely? That's why, like, oh, he wasn't my soulmate, oh, we broke up. Honey, he was never your soulmate. You are just in love with this
the
idea of finding a soulmate. You're not looking deep into yourself. What do I like about this person? Do we connect? they don't connect at all. This is not their go-to person, but because they just want to find this soulmate that everybody's talking about, and then it doesn't work out.
I think so. People do romanticize the idea very much, but all of us romanticize the idea of just love and being in love, because all of us think we know what love is. I like to reference to that verse in Corinthians about what love is. Love is kind, it is patient, does not envy, does not boast. That whole verse is my script. That is the blueprint to what love is. Many of us think we're in love, but to love somebody is to give. It's not about you. When you love someone, it is never about you. Your purpose is to give, not to receive. And you're supposed to receive from the other person because they want to give you, and not that because, okay, I love you, you must love me, and because I gave you, now you must give me. No, love is not selfish. Love does not expect.
And about
you are only supposed to give. And when you find your soulmate, that is how you feel, because it makes you, it's a good feeling to give to somebody that you love.
Yes,
you understand?
that's
So when you ever find yourself in a situation where you're holding back, you know, or building these walls around you, you've probably not yet found your soulmate. Or maybe you just need time to break down your walls of trauma and let them in. But that is what we don't do, because now everybody wants to live at the slightest inconvenience. Okay, that did not work. I gave it, I tried, I gave it a month. I tried. No, it takes a lifetime, a good lot of your life to actually get to know somebody.
True.
Because you can't figure somebody out in one day or a few months or a few years. You get to know them every day, because we're evolving on every day. That's why I say it's just as much work. Because we're all raised differently. We all come from different backgrounds, and my view of the world is not the other person's view of the world. And that is why we say compromise. So I don't think it is easy. You don't just have to connect. There is love at first sight, or sparks at first sight. But for those sparks and love to continue, you have to literally put in the work. You hold meetings every Saturday.
I totally agree, because even when you find like the person you're supposed to be with, and this is your go-to person, and you talk to them and everything, still before walking down that aisle, you have to go for premarital counseling. Because like you said, you're two different people. You have a different upbringing. You're from two different worlds. And even if you love each other and you're supposed to be together, you feel you're meant to be together, you have to go through premarital counseling, because they are preparing you for a life together on the different issues, because they know you're going to face these issues, and you need that training of sorts, or words of advice, so that you can navigate your life together. That is the work. So you have to learn. It's like a guide, a handbook. So a guideline as you go through it, as you're working, because they say marriage is work in progress. It is always work in progress. Even if you've been married 50 years, it is work in progress, because we all keep on evolving. The person you married 5 years ago is not the same person today. So it's always work in progress. So yes,
put in the work. Yes. And I think people always like to confuse the two, a soulmate and what's the other one? A twin flame. Usually our twin flame is our best friend. You know, that one person we have had in our life for years, and usually best friends are more like the same person. You're this exact same person. Even sometimes, have you ever seen best friends who start to even look alike? And people are like, oh, these two must be sisters. That is what a twin flame is. Now, a twin flame is you're just the same soul, basically. You're like the same person, like you mirror each other.
Divided souls?
Pardon?
Divided souls?
Yes. No, you're the same soul. It's like copy and paste. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like copy and paste.
It doesn't look
convinced.
I'm very new to this idea of twin flames. It's a first word.
For instance, you know, even with like best friends, for instance, Beyonce and Kelly Rowland, have you seen their children? The kids look alike.
Maybe Jay-Z.
Because maybe they are cousins.
I hear maybe Jay-Z. Look at you.
There was that theory too at some point.
It might be.
They are sharing and caring.
They might have shared Jay-Z, you know.
Keep
But-
it in the family.
I read The Alchemist. I don't know if you've read The Alchemist
Paul
by
Coelho.
Paul Coelho. Yeah. So this boy dreamt about a treasure that he fell in love with, and he had to go travel around the world from, is it Brazil to Egypt, and he was told the treasure is in somewhere in the pyramids in Egypt. So he traveled, he sold his ship to pay for all his costs to travel. And somewhere he faced a lot of difficulties. He lost the money he had, and then he had to work to get the money to enable him reach the treasure. And then when he reached Egypt, he finds an old man who tells him, your treasure is at home where you came from, under a certain tree in the homestead. I was like, what? He had to go back home to find that treasure. Now, there's that saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. We romanticize this idea of a soulmate so much, in that we perceive the soulmate as that perfect being, that Telemundo guy with tall
Big
build,
muscle and long
You know,
hair.
Alejandro.
then that curvy woman, very feminine and all that, and then you find yourself jumping from one person to another, not even clicking. So by the time you've gone through all that, you realize that the people you've been expecting to be your soulmates, they're not really your soulmate. It is that perhaps shamba boy that you employed at home that you have been overlooking and despising when it's your soulmate.
That's the thing.
So you find that you have to go through is it called, where they put gold to melt it? You have to go through a furnace.
Yes.
You have to go through a furnace, get your heart broken, get beat, cry and all that. And then you finally meet that person you treasure. You're like, okay, Brian has broken my heart. This one has broken my heart. I think, yeah.
You must be
This
the
one,
one.
you must be the one.
You see, now, don't you
When
think?
your expectations have lowered and all that, then you finally
You're just
meet.
clutching at
What do you
straws at
mean?
that
What do you
point.
mean when
Lower
your
expectations
expectations
to
have
find a
lowered?
soulmate.
Because
Brian?
initially
being
people
beat.
come with a lot of expectations.
And there's
These
nothing
things.
wrong with having expectations. There are people who got it right on the first try.
Sarah, you just said that scripture that you quoted, that it is said that you have to be generous and not even consider expecting but giving.
Yes.
So people get into these things with expectations, not with an intention to give.
Okay.
They want to be the ones to
To
receive.
receive, yes.
And then that gets them knocking from place to place, knocking from door to door to
this,
find.
I want that.
I want that.
This, I
You're
want
not
that.
giving me that. You're not my soulmate. From there, they get their hearts broken and they get remodeled, and reality hits them, and they're like, okay, I think if I give this guy a chance, this shamba boy that has been putting himself.
But is it
Out
a
there.
must to end up with your soulmate? I feel like so many people
Yes,
actually
it
end
is.
Up, no, it's not.
Honey, forever is a long time. So, if you're going to do it, you know what they say. If you lay bricks right the first time, you can walk on them your whole life.
Yes.
Now, if you lay them wrong, you have to bring the guy to drill, remove what? It's going to cost you money, time. So then make sure you lay them right the first time. Because, like I said, forever is a long time. And I think, like, I love that story, Paul Coelho. The moral of the story, I feel, is, like we said, we look for soulmates our whole lives. You can be looking for your soulmate your whole life, yet he or she has been right in front of you the whole time.
True.
They could be hiding in plain sight, but because you have this idea that they are supposed to be like this, and like that boy who went all the way to Egypt to look for this gold, only to be told it's back at home. So, like, take 3 steps back. You know, sometimes when you're too close to something, you don't see the whole picture. So you need to take like 5 steps back to get to see the whole picture.
True.
Sometimes you have to do that because it takes a tiny shift of perspective to see the very same thing in a whole new light.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know, I do not subscribe, even though I have found my soulmate. I don't think you have to be with your soulmate.
You don't have to
because, like I said, you evolve and there are things that you want with your life. And just because you have found this one person who you click with does not mean that sometimes that's what you want. Because, again, we can be damaged sometimes. And we have traumas. And we find ourselves in a place where we are comfortable with burying our heads in the sand as opposed to, you know, getting it out of the sand and having to deal with it. So yes, I am for soulmates. I think you only have one, but you don't have to be with them, especially if you may be the problem sometimes and you feel comfortable. Because again, when you love someone, you want them to have what's
best for them, even if it's without you.
Even if it does not involve you in the picture. You get? Because to love is to give.
Yes.
And to be with somebody, sometimes you find that you could be the biggest problem for them. Even though they're like, you know what, I will deal with all your nonsense. I am okay with it, Sarah. I don't mind. But you're like, but you are going to suffer. Yeah?
But
why do you want
see?
to suffer? I will love you from here.
Don't you see, Aggie, like you haven't found your soulmate.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's okay not to end up with your soulmate. So imagine this scenario. You end up with someone who's not your soulmate. Yes. So you're married and everything. Then during the course of that marriage, you find your soulmate.
How do you find your soulmate?
Oh my goodness, you don't get to choose. You know
married.
what happens sometimes? Sometimes
people.
you don't know you're unhappy until someone comes and shows you like, honey, you've been unhappy, but I am here now.
But you know,
what do you do?
Your soulmate can also stress you to a point where you're like, you know what, we actually cannot be together. We cannot end up together.
This is in a situation where you could end up together, but you already chose not to be with your soulmate.
You don't wake up and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to end up with you just like that. There are particular reasons. Maybe there's qualities about this person, because while you want to end up with your soulmate, and maybe say you want to get married, there are those particular qualities that you say, I can do without this, I can do with this.
Yeah.
And you could find your soulmate, that person that you really connect with. There is one specific thing that doesn't align.
Like there's a deal breaker.
Yes,
like
there is that one thing about
toxic.
them, and they're not about to let go of it. Maybe you can actually try to work through it, and it doesn't at all. So what do? Are you going to compromise about that one thing that's very important to you, so that you end up with your soulmate? No.
But you know, Sandra, it boils down to, it is actually very possible. People get into marriages and then they find their loved one,
The side chick.
later. You get? It's possible. When you do that for the wrong reasons, take for instance, there are those that get married to men, perhaps to push the influence, their career,
Yes.
or they want to
Or
achieve a
just
certain
pressure
goal.
to get married.
Yeah,
My
just
friends
pressure
are
to get
married.
married. Take for instance that it is
Yes.
very common. Ladies do get into marriages with guys they don't even have any inch of love for, because my sisters are getting married, my friends are getting married, mama wants a husband, dad says I've overstayed home, then you get into a marriage. Then a month later, this guy passes by, and when you see him, you're just on the same wavelength. Everything he says, you just click. And whatever you talk about, you can you have a conversation for like hours and non-stop. It is the airtime that cuts you off.
Listen.
How do you stay in?
I want to ask, soulmates, to marry them or not to marry them? Because for me, I subscribe to the thought of marrying your purpose and not your preference. Our soulmates are our preference. I mean, who doesn't want somebody who you can talk with for hours on end? But what if your soulmate is not as progressive as you are, and you want to be in a certain place at a certain time in your life? Say in 5 years, this is my goal. The next 10 years, this is my goal. 15, like that. But your soulmate is not as progressive. And that is why I just said that you don't have to be with your soulmate. Because you don't have to end up with them, because sometimes they can be a hindrance. It's not that they're a bad person, but because how they were raised or the environment they're around influences them in one way or the other. You could be more ambitious than your soulmate. So are you still going to marry this soulmate? That is why I think people end up with, side pieces, okay? You want to eat your cake and have it. So you marry to the person who is as progressive as you and is going to give you the things that you want. Why do you have to settle if you want to live in a storied mansion? And yet there's a man who is absolutely in love with you and adores you and wants to give you those things. You get? To love, again, I say, it's very unfortunate, because the person who you may love may not be in a position to give you the things that you want, because it's innate to us. We also love to receive, in one way or the other. You want to receive. That's why we have love languages. You want someone to spend time with you, to buy you gifts, to cuddle you, But then
Me, I am for, if you're going to find that soulmate, make sure it's the person also that you share a purpose with.
True.
Find them, it is possible.
But what are the chances? What are the chances? How many
I guess
people,
I'm one of the lucky
how
ones.
How many people have found their purpose in their soulmate?
In their soulmate. I have.
Yeah?
Yes.
But you have like 5 other soulmates,
But
Sandra.
you say those ones are different. They are twin flames and what, so I have categorized them in my head. Maybe the other 2 are twin flames.
Yes.
Yes?
You only have 1 twin flame. So who are you cheating on, Sandra? Who are you cheating
You know
on?
what you said? I think for me, I still have 4 hands and 4 legs.
But I believe you find, it depends on where you derive your happiness from.
Okay.
If you believe it's within your purpose, then you have to align yourself with a person that is within that alignment of your purpose. If you feel your happiness is derived from being in a relationship with someone, despite what they're doing or their life purpose, you can find happiness in that as well. So it depends on where you derive your happiness from.
Yes.
You can have your soulmate in your workmate.
That's true. That is very true, by the way. That is absolutely true. And lastly, to marry for love or to marry for purpose?
For purpose.
For purpose.
Yeah. Or maybe both. If you can have it all, then why
why
not?
you can't?
There's those who can have it all.
You can.
You can have it
There's
all.
those who are lucky enough.
You can.
There's those who've been lucky enough to find purpose and love in one person.
But you see, they will never tell you because everybody's speech at the on the wedding day is the same. I found my soulmate. Nobody ever says I found my purpose.
I have
this
seen
man.
one who has actually said, I was lucky enough to find purpose and love in this in one person. That is what she
Listen, you will never know the actual truth of any couple or married couple at the wedding. You'll never know. Check on them 5 years
down
later.
the line. It's
Check on
possible.
them 5 years
you find
down
they
the
have
line.
grown, they have evolved together, and they are still in love. It
Actually, I
happens.
think we should only ask for wedding speeches 5 years after. Send a memo to give us an update. Do you still feel the same way? Because me, wedding day speeches, I don't want to listen because you are telling lies.
That's superficial.
Everybody is telling lies.
It's like funerals. They're like, this person, I'm like, what? Are we at the wrong place? You have to look at the booklet. My sister's like, Sandra, stop it. It's not the same person.
Exactly. Well, that's all we had for you on this segment of our views. But before I go, I would like to read a few responses from our social media. And Laquel Maria did say, how? When I asked the question, can you have multiple soulmates? She went on to say, how? With laughing emojis. And then she goes to say, unless someone has 2 souls. And our next response and tweet comes in from Adams Mayambala, and he says, where do you measure the souls from? It's possible, ask Ugandan ladies. Okay, Adam, you see you're throwing jobs at us. And our next tweet comes in from Kenneth Agaba, and he says, finding one is hard enough, so please do not stress us. Well, that is all I had for you on this segment of our views, but stay tuned because we have more coming up. This is Sunrise at Sea.
Well, thank you for staying here with us on Sunrise at Sea this Monday. It's a new week. We hope we gave you just the right jumpstart to your week. And please head on down to our social media pages at SEETV Uganda and tell us, can you have more than one soulmate? Me, I'm for more than one soulmate, but Sarah has actually broken it down for me. Well, that was all we had for you today here on Sunrise at Sea. And we have had Brian on the show today and Aggie. It was really nice to have you over. We hope to have you over once again. It was quite an interesting conversation, but all good things must come to an end. So from the team and I here in the studio, we do wish you a lovely, lovely day.